Welcome to Tonkocast. Today's guest is Siqi Song. Siqi is an incredible stop-motion filmmaker. One of her films, Sister, was in the festival where we showed The Dam Keeper Poems, and Eric Go, our director, got to see it, and he told me immediately, guys, you gotta check this out, check this film out, Sister. And I got to see this film, and it was phenomenal. So we had a chance to talk to Siqi about her film. It's about her experience growing up in China, and she created it while she was going to CalArts as a graduation film. I believe this film will get a lot of attention in the film festival circuit. And just check out our interview. Okay, welcome Siqi to Tonko House. Thank you so much for coming. You came from LA?
Yes, I live in Los Angeles.
And then were you traveling to visit San Francisco for a festival, or were you here?
I came for several screenings in the Bay Area.
What type of screenings?
Oh, I just screened my 2 films at Pixar Studio last week.
Oh, got it. How was the reception at Pixar?
It was really interesting because I only showed the films in film festivals before, which has general audience. But I think at Pixar Studio, the audience are all like professional storytellers and animators. They have lots of technical questions and like questions in terms of how I conceive the ideas, how I tell the stories, and like how I make the puppets. So that's lots of interesting discussions about storytelling.
Yeah, Pixar crowd is a tough crowd, and they're very passionate.
I know, I was really nervous.
Talking about everybody's film. So just kind of backing up, I want to know more about where you started and where you come from and your upbringing and how that influenced your art and filmmaking. And first of all, like, when did you decide to pursue filmmaking?
Actually, when I was a kid, I was sent to boarding school like when I was 10. So there are lots of like time alone after school. So I like to do lots of like handicraft. I did lots of those Chinese paper cutouts when I was a kid. So I got really into it. So then later on, when I have this option to study art, my parents sent me to study Chinese ink painting. I got really into like those visual storytelling. So I applied for art school in China, which is called China Academy of Fine Arts. And then I also in there I got lots of like fundamental trainings about with how to do sculptures. I did lots of like oil paintings. That's where I know like I developed my skills and then to make visual arts. Then later on I watched some stop motion animation film that and then I realized this is a very great media that can combine all my physical, handcraft skills with storytelling. So I got really into making stop motion animation. So I made my first film while I was in China in college. Then I want to pursue this as my future career. So I did some of my research, and I realized lots of stop motion animation directors, they all graduate from CalArts. So I applied there, and then they accept me. Then I just like start to make films, start making stop motion films.
Got it. Wait, so you came to United States to attend CalArts at first?
Yeah.
I see. So you went through the fundamental and traditional art training in China, but still you were interested in animation already in college.
Yeah.
I see. Why stop motion? I'm just curious.
I just like, for me, making stuff by hand is just very natural, feels really natural to me. Tactile. I like the textures, like of all the puppets and then the materials that can also, I find that stop motion is really, really interesting. It's not only about designs, it also like the texture can bring a lot into the storytelling too. That really amazed me.
And then you came to the United States and you got into CalArts undergrad program or graduate program?
I went to the master program in experimental animation.
So obviously, I definitely want to talk about one of your latest films, which really blew a lot of us at Tonko House away. But before we get into it, I'm just curious how transition from China, in terms of as an artist and even as a person, to move to the United States. How did that affect your life? Because I also migrated from Japan to the United States for college, and it's a big change.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a huge change because Asian culture is totally different with the Western culture in here, but I think that's also part of the inspiration too. That I think all of my film that I made at KRs was it starts because there are some differences I realized between China and America. Like I made my first film called Food. It's a documentary about food, because when I just moved to the United States, and I went to the cafeteria and I saw the all kinds of food, like cafeteria they have like vegan options and vegetarian options, and then I found it really interesting because I never heard of this word before. And I feel why do people want to become vegetarian? And because there are not many vegetarians in China, so I just have this question in my mind. So I want to make a film to interview people why do they become a vegetarian and why do they choose this lifestyle? Yeah, so I think that's really interesting, just to find some differences between life that I didn't think before I moved here. But also like the original idea of my graduation film Sister is also because after I came here, like when I was in China, people are really used to not have siblings, so we don't ever ask questions.
Right.
And then when I moved here, I have seen many of my classmates that they all have like 2 or 3 siblings. And it suddenly occurs to me that's really different lifestyle and really different life that we are having. That's why I started to think about my past and my family, my friends. Like, well, this might be something really unique of our experience and worth to tell the world, like what we grew up with.
That's really great, because I didn't know it was your graduation film. It's incredible, incredibly sophisticated and mature film for a graduation film. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you won lots of awards with that film, and probably you will win more. But when we first saw that film, we were just like speechless. We didn't know what to expect, because something that one of our directors, Eric Go, said, check out Siqi's film, and then we watched and we were like, whoa, like we did not expect this. It's such a powerful story. Like you said, it is coming, it is rooted in your own experience and culture and history, right, of your country. If you could share a little bit about your story process, because craft-wise, it's really beautifully done, but also stories are very mature and very, I would say, sophisticated, right? So I'm curious to hear. Obviously, like you said, it's a unique, very unique. You find your own voice and unique voice, but how did you arrive at this particular subject as your story?
Yeah, I think like originally I know I want to make a film about siblings because either way, like I'm the second child in my family. I have a bigger brother, and then when I came here and realized one child policy which was really restricted in China when I was born, and this is the story of our generation, and especially when I was thinking ideas for my thesis film. It's about in 2015 when China changed the policy from 1-child policy into 2-child policy, and then it suddenly occurs to me this might be from 1979 to 2015, this might be the only generation that there are lots of only child in the family. That's that's and then when I think about my own history and how my parents kept telling me their story of try they did their best to give birth to me, that's how I have a life. I talked with lots of friends and classmates, and then I have a friend whose name is Bin Yang, who also did the voiceover for my film. I talked with him, and then he told me his story when he was 4 years old. His his mom was pregnant with another little girl, but he was not able to have a little sister because of one-child policy during that time. And then it just certainly shocked me because if I just think back, if my parents didn't do their best to keep me, I wouldn't have a chance to live a life or become a filmmaker to tell my story. So it's just that moment, like when I realized that my life could be gone. It just I feel like this is the very powerful moment. I want the audience to also feel this moment, to realize if the life could not be happening or exist. Yeah, so the story process it's actually really frustrating for me. Like originally I want to make a narrative film because I never done a narrative film before. I feel like I want to challenge the film because this is my last student film. I want to do something I never done before to know what I can do or what I can't do. So I want to make a narrative film about siblings. So that's the starting point. And I know the ending of the film because I want the audience to also feel that moment that, that life was not existed. So have this element together and start to like brainstorm ideas and brainstorm like stories, the structures of the film. It took me a really long time just to write scripts. I probably wrote like 10 different scripts. And then I also threw away lots of ideas during the production. And then when I was shooting the film, I told you like the reason I like stop motion because the material itself, like when I physically build the sets and puppets, sometimes it also inspires me in terms of like the actions and then what's gonna happen in the film, or like there's some shots I can kind of just start to improvise, in front of camera. So this I'm still adapting the story during the production, and then after I shoot the final film now is actually 8 minutes, but actually I shot like 15 minutes long animation.
Yeah.
So when I was doing the editing, I tried to put everything in. But after I edit it and show it to my mentors at CARS and classmates, and then I just feel like the story is still not working. So I did lots of re-editing, especially the ending is really important in the story. I did lots of re-editing, eventually find the version that I really like, and then I want to keep it. So yeah, it was a long process.
Yeah, the Tonko House, we have one project that's in stop motion right now, and definitely me personally, it's such a challenge to do stop motion because I come from CG and 2D, right? That's the experience I have, and with 2D and CG, you can go back and edit a frame or two to make your poses better, stronger. Stop motion, basically, right? Like you have to shoot if you want to change anything, and that's something that really kind of made me more, I guess, disciplined in a way to have a clear vision, clear direction up front. And I'm still struggling with that, but as you said it, what I love about it is just the feeling of you have animator, you have a lighting DP, you have a camera DP, you have other assistants, sets person, set dresser, all at one place. This is a bigger production. Probably in your case, you probably did everything by yourself.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
But then just the feeling of like, okay, now you animate, you go, like, and there's no, you can of course reshoot, but it's very, very, very expensive. Not only your time as an animator, but also time for every single person who's involved in the shoot. It's a whole different game than CG or 2D, and obviously it seems like you are pretty dedicated to stop motion.
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell me why, because I'm kind of experiencing stop motion, which I love, but also there's a limitation to stop motion. I'm like, I wish I could just change or do a quick paint over, why stop motion? I mean, besides the fact that you mentioned earlier that it's tactile, and I get all that, but do you get frustrated with the limitation sometimes with the stop motion?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, stop motion does have lots of requirements, like basic requirement. Like I have to, especially like it's really physical, and the way you do animation, and then there are like these gravity issues. That's the main problem that everyone has to go over. And then I don't know. I feel like I never tried 2D or CG, so I don't know the advantage that those other media has. But I think like also like the imitation kind of sometimes give you more inspiration and freedom to you figure things out during the the freedom that you have, and then that's also like because the difficulties of making stop motion, and then when you actually figure something really innovative, and then you feel like this is where the magic happens, especially when you click the space bar and then play it, like you see this little doll just start to suddenly become alive in front of you. I think that's just the magic moment that I really like to experience.
It is a pure magic. You have your graduation film Sister, which is really just so powerful. I hope our listeners can watch it at some point. It's not quite available just yet online, right?
Not yet.
It's going through the festival circuit.
Yeah. But I do plan on putting it online at some point in the next few months. Yeah.
And then you said you made another film called Coin, right?
Yeah.
Which I got to see, which is just different from Sister, the tonally very different, but it's just really beautifully done and funny, you know. And actually something I can relate to because I was one of those kids who just swallowed a coin. You know? But tell me about that film. Since you brought puppets, we'll share the photographs later on the podcast. But you brought puppets from the film Sister and The Coin.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about the film.
The Coin is another film that I finished just recently after I made Sister. So after I make Sister took me a really long time to figure out, how to make puppets, how to tell a story, how to make a film. But it took me a really long time to figure out, but I think it's also a great experience because I've been through every stage of filmmaking, and then I learned all the mistakes that I made before. So for The Coin, I got more advanced, I made the film in 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like a little more smoother than when I made Sister because I know, how to tell a story, a little bit better than before. And then, skill-wise too, I also have a little bit, I also have a producer and DP to help me making the film, which make the process way faster than before. And then The Coin is a film actually about my own experience of me moving from China to America, this in the past 5 years. Like in China, when I was a kid, we still have this tradition that we put a coin inside of dumplings, one of the dumplings, and then whoever in the family that if the dumpling that had the coin means it's good luck. They'll have a good luck for the next year. And then when I came here, and then I have, I feel like, I've been in boarding school, living in different cities away from my family for a long time. And I always feel like, this dumpling always reminds me of home. So whenever I travel and I feel homesick, I will just to find a dumpling restaurant. I'm sure like everyone who has been traveling in different countries, they all feel like when they feel homesick, they'll just find the similar food they used to eat at home.
Of course.
Yeah. So food is kind of like a metaphor of, our emotions. I feel like, our stomach is really connected to our mind. And then this coin that really means something, the main character in The Coin, like it's her precious souvenir from home, and it's also means the hope for her future.
Right.
And then she somehow encountered this crisis that she lost the coin, and then when she suddenly in this very foreign environment, she feel very anxious. She had to find the physical coin. I think it's really similar with my experience, though, of moving to a different country, and then there's some hardship and difficulties for me to fit in this new country or new culture. I feel like sometimes I'm really lost and I need help. I need something to tell me that it's gonna be okay. I think like this film is kind of a message to myself too. I want her to find her her precious coin in her own stomach, because I want her to feel, she can go anywhere if she, be confident of herself, like embrace what she already have, as as a Chinese person or a person from different countries. Like we all grew up in our family and the tradition, and then we carry that with me. We don't need to feel uncomfortable of living everywhere if we already carry something really important with us. So I can just go everywhere, and then just a message to myself like it's gonna be okay. Yeah.
That's really great. Yeah, I really want our listeners to also watch that film as well. Is the film also going through the festival now, or have you started touring?
We just started to. I just finished a few months ago. It's gonna premiere in South by Southwest Film Festival in March,
Nice.
and then it's gonna start. Hopefully,
Great.
we'll have a chance to show it in other film festivals too.
Yeah, definitely. I want to hear what you're doing and what you're planning to do. Now you graduated, I assume,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And what are you doing in LA right now?
Right now, actually, I'm writing a new story, and then like thinking of different ideas, and then because I feel like animation filmmaking is really fun, and it's what I do want to do for the rest of my life. So I'm like making developing stories, and it might become a TV series or feature film or another short film that I want to make.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super exciting. It's really inspiring because whenever we see student films, and I didn't go to film school, so when I was a student, I was studying painting, right? I think when you watch quality films from schools, it's incredibly inspiring because it is hard for professionals to pursue short films on the side. It just takes time, and you just don't have that dedicated time. But then back in the days, I feel like students didn't have enough skill set or the access to the equipment or or even funding to do quality. But then these days, I think student films have gotten so high quality, including definitely yours, makes us want to do the same. Like I feel like as a studio, we struggle to actually create a project unless we get the right budget, the right funding, right schedule, right people, and then it just moves so slow. And we always feel like we're constantly looking for somebody's permission to, let us make a film, which shouldn't be the case. We all have urge to want to make our film and tell our stories, and then it's such a challenge. So when we watched your film, and sister, and then you already made your next one, just incredibly inspiring for us. And I really thank you for sharing your story. Whatever you're writing now, I can't wait to watch. When do you think we get to watch your next one?
Oh, the next one. Oh, that's. I think like right now I want to have a Bible or like at least a pitch book ready so I can pitch or get the fundings to make the film. But I think like for Sister and the Coin, it was like my budget was really limited. My time was limited. So I designed the story and the character and the settings in a very small environment that I can really manage to finish by myself or a small team. But I think for the next one, I want to try to have a little bit more complex, characters and stories that can really explore the storytelling and filmmaking in the future. So I think it would like at least take 1 or 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then same style of this felt stop motion, or?
I think I would like to try, but I think it all depends on the story because I think like the material itself can give you different feelings. So I feel like when I figure out the stories, I will choose the material that would best fit the story, and I don't want to limit myself to one single material, but I would like to go back to if the story fits the thing.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. It's really inspiring to have you here and get to see your puppets, and we really can't wait to share your film with more people. I think a lot of people should see this. So Siqi, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you for the opportunity. Yeah, I'm really enjoying visiting and studying.
Thank you.